What's happening, people? We're back here once again on CubCamTV for something slightly different today, something else we're going to be looking at moving forward. First of all, I want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you for getting involved in the channel so far. We did hit 13k earlier on today, subscribers. It's a massive kind of milestone for me, just in general. The support the channel's been receiving has been absolutely incredible. And with that, I want to make sure we're not slowing down. I want to make sure we're doing as much content as we possibly can, be that radio interviews, be that sort of radio-related, sort of long-form content, whether that be reactions, whether it be football conversations, or what we're going to be doing today. Now, obviously, I've got this sort of YouTube set up at home, and I'm getting to a point where I want to be making more content than I'm physically able to, just based on music videos and things like that, purely because I have to wait for those to land. However, we are currently, I feel, living through somewhat of a... I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. We are living through a golden era of Marvel-related content. Now, for those that aren't aware, you may have seen the channel before. I am a massive Marvel fan. On the breakfast show that we do over on Trickstar Radio, I have a section every single day called Marvel Watch, where we look at all the latest Marvel news, whether that be MCU or whether it be the expanded universe, stuff like Venom as well, whether it be back in the day, we talked a lot about the old X-Men films and things like that. So it's something that I'm very, very keen to carry on talking about in as many ways as possible, but not having to wait for trailers. The reason I say we're in the middle of a golden period is purely because when we look around at how many things are going on, I think it'd be a waste for me at the moment not to kind of capitalize on what's going on with all of the Marvel content dropping, and just kind of giving a bit more of a sort of vlog-related review approach to a few things that are going on. So what we're going to do today is we're going to give a bit of a preview of what we think could well happen during the final episode of What If. I've quite literally just finished the episode 8, which is essentially, I think it's called What If Ultron Won, which is a very, very explosive concept. I actually feel Ultron's been very underutilized within the MCU. I think he's such a cool character. I think he's got such a cool kind of idea behind him, what he could go on to be. I think it was a bit of a shame that he was actually knocked out after one individual film, and realistically, he wasn't even that involved in the film. Like, most of the film is about the sort of team building stuff that goes on as well. I definitely think he's a very underutilized villain. He's definitely someone I would like to see appear in the MCU in future. So we're going to give a bit of a review of this episode first of all. I absolutely loved it. This is possibly one of my favourite ones. This is up there with the Doctor Strange episode. It's up there with the Black Panther episode as well. I think the series in general has been very, very exciting because we have been able to explore all of these different sorts of worlds, especially coming off the back of Loki, which was obviously very multiverse themed. It was essentially about variants and trying to make sure there isn't a multiverse. At the end of that, we do see that a multiverse opens up, and then obviously at the start of this series we basically find out there is a full-on multiverse going on. We have the Spider-Man film around the corner, which is likely to open the multiverse, and then obviously we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness down the line as well. We also have Kang the Conqueror appearing in Ant-Man Quantumania, which means we are likely to be exploring this multiverse sort of idea within Marvel for a hot minute, and I love the fact they've quite essentially built this series around the sort of ideas they can do with that. Now, for this episode, when I first went into it, I didn't expect it to be as impactful and as almost shocking as it was, because the idea, obviously, that Ultron wins, he gets the Infinity Stones, you sort of go, okay, cool, he takes over the world. I think there's an episode of Avengers Assemble where Kang the Conqueror does exactly the same thing, except without the Infinity Stones. He just takes over the world, he takes over different realities, and he's just in charge, and you sort of take up the episode as he's been in charge for a while. You see what happens, and then you have a bit of a flashback to how it happened, and then you actually see how we believe it could kind of go a different way. But the interesting thing with this episode is it does open up the final episode, and it does change the sort of concept of how the series has been running so far, because all the episodes have been somewhat randomly put together, to an extent, like not completely random. There's sort of overlapping features here and there. Obviously, the characters overlap quite nicely. This is, I think, the third or fourth time we've seen Captain Marvel pop up as well, which is really, really cool to see. And yeah, I think the main thing to take away from this episode, we'll dive a bit more into the actual episode itself in a minute, but the main thing I would take away from this episode is the fact that it does link all the episodes together. All the episodes are part of one overall story, which I'm very, very excited to see. I was a little bit worried that it would almost kind of tail out, which very rarely happens with Marvel, but I was a little bit worried that it would just kind of go, there's 9 stories and that's it. We know it's confirmed for a season 2 as well, but the fact that this episode finishes off with this image here, do subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you haven't already. This image here, we see the Watcher turn around to the Doctor Strange from the episode 4, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart rather than his hands? And we turn around to hear him say, I need your help, after he's been stuck in this bubble universe for however long he's been there, after absorbing all these different creatures from different scenarios and basically collapsing his own universe. He is now being brought into the wider sort of scenario. So it's like the Sorcerer Supreme Edition XXL, Multiverse Edition 005. It's crazy how this has actually happened. I was so excited when I saw him walk out of the shadows at the end of the episode. It's crazy how all of this is going to link together, because this, alongside a couple of other episodes we've seen, has been left on a bit of a cliffhanger. We see Ultron at the end basically saying running away or whatever, and then we see the Watch turn around and go, I need help, I'm out of ideas, and you see Doctor Strange walk out, which is so exciting, because it means we're actually going to see, realistically, a lot of the different characters link up. We're likely to maybe see another episode with T'Challa. I hope and pray we get to see one final episode with T'Challa. Obviously, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I did actually tear up when watching his solo episode, and we've seen him pop up in a couple of other ones as well. I think as well as this, we're likely to see maybe Captain Carter will re-emerge. We're likely to maybe see Party Boy Thor again. There's so many different characters we've kind of examined throughout this process. It's so exciting to see who could appear for that final episode. That's very much where we're kind of going with this. I think as well, the fact that Ultron is essentially one of the strongest iterations of Ultron we've seen. This guy is now able to transcend through the multiverse. He's able to move around different dimensions. He's able to move around different realities with next to no trouble whatsoever. The fact that we've got the Zola program kind of working one end of the spectrum down on Earth is kind of cool, but we actually need Ultron to return to that sort of that variation of Earth for him to be able to be shut down. On top of that as well, Hawkeye said goodbye. There was a really nice moment in this episode actually where we saw the kind of flip of Endgame, which is obviously we see Clint let Natasha go. In this one we see Natasha let Clint go, which is always sad. That's one of the sadder moments of the whole MCU, to be honest with you, where you see Natasha fall off the side of the cliff. It's so much more emotional than when Gamora does it, I've got to say. I don't know why there's so much more sort of riding on that. It's probably because we've seen more of Black Widow throughout the history of the MCU. But yeah, I think this episode overall was great. We saw Ultron literally rip Thanos apart with a blink, which was crazy. He literally came through. I saw the portal behind. I was going crazy. I was going, we're going to actually see some crazy showdown. He ripped a 4 Infinity Stone Thanos in half with literally a look. Just split him in half and then took power of all of the Infinity Stones. It's absolutely crazy what this guy has been able to achieve in a relatively short space of time. He then goes around to Sakaar. He goes to a couple of the places the Guardians have been. He turns up on Asgard and just pumps the entire place to pieces. The amount of destruction this guy's causing is crazy. And also, when we see the fight scene between the Watcher and Ultron as well, I love the scene where Ultron is punching the Watcher and we're kind of flipping through different realities as it happens. Like everything's kind of morphing around them and you're changing. There's a quick shot where you see a couple of Skrull in the background. There's a shot where you see a sort of medieval background. It's crazy how they're able to kind of fuse all these concepts. It's crazy how they've been able to kind of fuse all these concepts together, I'm getting excited here. And yeah, I'm so excited for this finale because is this going to open up something into the multiverse? Is this going to link directly into the upcoming Spider-Man film? Will it directly link into the upcoming Eternals film? Will it link into the Multiverse of Madness? The fact they've brought Strange back in before the final episode is crazy. It does mean we could well end up seeing other iterations from this series, but the fact that Strange has come back into it on a program about the multiverse says to me we could well end up seeing Evil Strange versus Normal Strange in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The fact they leave it so kind of open for interpretation is crazy. And it's just really exciting to see what the final is going to be. I love the fact they've brought Ultron back for a finale as well. We could well end up seeing a couple of other villains, maybe Ego from a different universe. We could end up seeing, obviously the Doctor Strange one's kind of crazy. We could end up seeing maybe the zombie universe coming back into it as well. I love the fact that Thanos has popped up a fair few times as well, because obviously he was only really very active in 2 films. He pops up in another film at one point, and he's in a post-credit scene, but those 2 films, he's obviously a main central character. The fact we've got to see so much more of him across this series has been great, and I've got to say, The Watcher has been a character I've loved to watch develop as well. It's made me so excited for the finale, and there we go, really, really excited. Guys, please do let me know if you've enjoyed this sort of breakdown, reaction, and review. We're going to do more of these Marvel Watch sort of related bits as well, maybe get an intro made, all that good stuff. You know I love all my techie sorts of sides of things. And yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this sort of breakdown video. If you did, please make sure you are hitting that subscribe button on the right hand side of the page. There's going to be a lot more Marvel related content going on the channel. As you can see, I've got loads of Marvel posters all around my room. As you can see, there's one behind, there's an Endgame one, there's a Shang-Chi one up there, brand new. And I've got a few more arriving soon as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this, and we shall see you all next time. Peace.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, CubCamTV. Stay locked.